A risk of the cash rate rising in 2022. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. I want to have a look at this article from Yahoo Finance, in which our Reserve Bank governor, reiterates there's a 2022 rate rise risk. Now remember, the cash rate is at 0.1%. And when they told us there'd be no rate rises until 2024. Remember that, guys? I remember that. I remember that. Let's just, while I'm talking about it, let's just show this other wage forecast chart from the RBA. Now, I didn't trust them. Did you trust them? I think all of us who locked in our mortgage at a very low rate for 4 or 5 years didn't trust the Reserve Bank. And hopefully we're all using that to build buffers because we don't trust them. So let's have a look. There'll be some of them, some people that have jumped in variable rates because they trust the RBA. Maybe they just haven't had enough exposure to all of the mistakes the RBA has made or failed predictions. Here's the thing with the economy. You've got an emergent system, and the RBA only has so many levers they're trying to use to manage that economy. Is it even possible, everyone? Can we even manage it? I think it's a fallacy in some regards to think you can. So let's look at this, guys. Reserve Bank of Australia Governor Philip Lowe has reiterated that an interest rate rise in 2022 is plausible, but wants to see at least a couple more quarterly inflation results before pulling the trigger. But he also warned federal politicians that raising the cash rate too early from its record low of 0.1% could put at risk an expected decline in the unemployment rate below 4% in the coming year. We haven't been saying rates won't rise this year. Well, you did in the past, Dr. Lowe told the House of Representatives Economic Committee via video link on Friday. It is plausible that we'll be raising rates later this year. It will also depend upon data, the evidence, the outcomes of inflation, and the trajectory of inflation. A couple more quarterly CPIs would be good to see. During his 6th monthly appearance in front of the committee, the governor said there was no evidence in Australia that things were overstimulated, and while inflation pressures have picked up, they were not excessive. But he also thought it was appropriate for the federal government to start pulling back on its stimulus measures, the biggest in decades. We have factored that into our forecasts. It is entirely appropriate that gets unwound and is going to result in a contraction in the budget deficit, Dr. Lowe said. He said for the first time in several decades, inflation has become a major issue in the global economy. On Tuesday, the US reported annual inflation of 7.5%, the highest level since February 82, while at the same time wages are growing at the fastest pace in the last 20 years. In Australia, we too have had higher inflation than we and others expected, although the increase here is smaller than in many other countries, Dr. Lowe said. Consumer Price Index currently sits at 3.5%. We are feeling the effects of global supply chain problems and higher oil prices, but we have not seen the same increases in goods prices as have occurred in the United States. New Australian Bureau of Statistics figures show almost half of the nation's businesses experienced supply chain disruptions in January compared to 30% in April last year. At the same time, wages growth has picked up recently, but only to the low rate prevailing before the COVID pandemic. Dr. Lowe said the vast bulk of Australians are experiencing wage increases of no more than 2.something%. There is, however, more than the usual degree of uncertainty around the outlook for inflation and wages. It is still unclear as to whether and at what pace the demand for goods will normalise as inflation rates decline. Dr. Lowe defended what has been the RBA's long-held position that conditions for an interest rate increase would not occur before 2024 based on its forecasts. From my perspective, the benefits of that made it very clear to the community that the Reserve Bank was going to support the economy in what has been an extraordinary 2 years, Dr. Lowe said. Okay, so we can never be wrong. It's okay to lie to people for the greater good. He said the economy in the past year had done much better than the RBA thought, and inflation had been higher than its forecasts, which was not that much different from that of the market economists. So we have all been surprised, he said. If that has damaged our credibility, I accept that. We don't have a crystal ball, and we're living through incredibly difficult times and having to process in real time the effect of shocks that we've not dealt with before. Let's have a bit of a talk about this one, guys. So, the RBA at risk of losing credibility, of raising the cash rate before they promised not to. Maybe, just maybe we should look at a different approach for managing our economy. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should reduce the amount of government intervention. Wouldn't it be interesting if we had competitive reserve banks with different currencies? Yeah, that'd be a mess. That'd be a nightmare. I can't see it happening, guys, and I can't see Australians being accepting of that. Interest rate rises are coming. We're already seeing them with fixed mortgages. You need to prepare, you need to be ready, you need to have your buffers. Have you checked how you'd go if interest rates go up to 5, 6, 7%? Let us know in the comments below, guys. But, also, do you think the credibility of the RBA isn't where it once was? Or are some people just starting to realize that every word they say isn't gospel? Thanks for watching, guys. If you're a fan of the channel and want to support us, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon, sign up for SelfWealth or Stake, use our affiliate links from Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. I want to point you towards this last video about interest rates going up at one of the big 4 banks, guys. I've got another one coming up. They're just continuing to increase, guys. Get ready. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next episode of HeiseSays. Bye for now.